The crystalline chamber hummed with the low, mournful frequencies of Zarathian grief. 200 mourners stood in perfect circular formation around the suspended stasis pod, their bioluminescent skin pulsing in synchronized waves of deep violet, the color of eternal loss. The pod itself floated at the center, containing the still form of Dr. Harper Chun, xenobiologist, human, and according to every Zarathian medical scanner, definitively deceased. James Martinez stood at the edge of the gathering, his environmental suit feeling heavier than usual. He'd known Harper for 6 years, ever since they'd both signed up for the Deep Space Cultural Exchange program. She'd been brilliant, fearless, always the first to volunteer for contact with new species. And now she was gone, claimed by what the Zarathians called the silent consumption, a neural virus that had swept through the station 3 weeks ago. The caretaker, Velshura, raised her 6-fingered hands toward the vaulted ceiling. Her voice resonated through the chamber's acoustics, a haunting melody in her native tongue. James's translator rendered it into solemn English. We return this brave soul to the cosmic stream, grateful for the brief light she brought to our dark universe. James swallowed hard. The funeral rites would last another hour, followed by Harper's body being jettisoned into the nearby nebula, a traditional Zarathian burial reserved for the most honored dead. It was more than most aliens received. Harper would have been touched. The gathered Zarathians began their response chant, a wave of sound that built from whisper to crescendo. James closed his eyes, trying to memorize every detail. He owed Harper that much. The chamber's doors burst open with a pneumatic hiss. Every mourner turned as one, their bioluminescence flaring angry red at the interruption. A figure stumbled through the entrance, smaller than the Zarathians, bipedal, wearing the simple gray robes of the station's maintenance division. "She's not dead," the figure announced in heavily accented standard. The chanting stopped abruptly. Velshara's elegant features twisted in confusion and offense. "Caretaker Nixal, this is a sacred, she's not dead," Nixal repeated, louder this time. The caretaker was a Threxian, a species James had only encountered twice before. Small, gray-skinned beings with large black eyes and a reputation for being meticulous engineers. This one was breathing hard, clutching a data pad to its chest. James found himself pushing through the crowd before he could think better of it. "What are you talking about?" Nixal's enormous eyes fixed on him. "You are the other human. James Martinez. Harperchin spoke of you often during her quarantine." During her, James's voice caught. "She died 2 weeks ago." "No." Nixal held up the data pad, hands trembling. "She entered dormancy. There is a difference, but you wouldn't know it. Your medical databases don't include information on human hibernation responses to neural pathogens." Velshara descended from her platform, her movements graceful despite her obvious anger. "Caretaker, our scanners detected no neural activity, no electromagnetic signature of consciousness. By every measure in our extensive medical libraries. Your libraries are based on Zarathian physiology." Nixal interrupted, a breach of protocol that sent shocked murmurs through the crowd. "And Karathi, and Venusian, and 73 other species. But humans? Humans are new to the galactic community. Your scanners were looking for the wrong signatures." James grabbed the datapad, his hands shaking. The screen showed a comparison, Zarathian brain activity patterns on one side, human on the other. But the human side had a third column, labeled with Harper's ID number. The patterns were drastically different from the active human baseline, but they weren't flat. They were slow, impossibly slow, but present. "How did you find this?" James whispered. Nixal's expression, as much as James could read it, seemed almost sheepish. "I cleaned the research laboratories. Dr. Chun was always kind to me, always asked about my family, learned Threxian greetings, even though most beings don't bother. When she fell ill, I couldn't accept her death. So I researched. Human medical journals, your species history. Did you know your ancestors survived ice ages by lowering their metabolic rates? That human cells can enter suspended animation under extreme stress." James stared at the pod. Harper's face was peaceful, her dark hair floating slightly in the preservation field. "You're saying the virus triggered some kind of defensive hibernation. The silent consumption attacks the neural pathways," Nixal explained rapidly. "In Zarathians, it causes irreversible death within hours. But human brains are different, more redundant, more adaptable. Dr. Chen's consciousness retreated into the most primitive parts of her brain stem, slowing her metabolism to near zero to starve the virus of resources. Velshara was listening now, her anger fading to cautious interest. If this is true, why didn't our revival protocols work? Because you used Zarathian revival protocols, Nixal said, more gently this time. Electrical stimulation to restart neural firing. But Harper's brain isn't off, it's merely waiting. It needs a different signal. Not a shock, but a call. Something familiar, something human. James looked at the caretaker, then at Harper, then back. What kind of call? Nixal pulled up another file on the datapad. Humans respond to auditory stimuli even in deep comas. Your medical literature is full of cases. Loved ones speaking, familiar music, voices from home. The human brain recognizes patterns even when it cannot respond. The chamber had gone completely silent. 200 aliens watched as James approached the stasis pod, his heart hammering so loudly he was sure everyone could hear it. I don't know if this will work, he said to no one in particular. Neither do I, Nixal admitted. But the alternative is letting her drift into a nebula while she's still alive. James placed his hand against the pod's surface. Through his translator, he spoke to Velshara. Can you lower the preservation field? Just for a minute. The Zarathian elder hesitated, then nodded. The humming decreased, the energy field dissipating like morning fog. James leaned close to where Harper's ear would be, separated only by transparent polymer. He thought about all the late nights in the research lab, all the terrible jokes she'd made about alien biology, the way she'd laughed when he'd accidentally insulted a Karathi ambassador by using the wrong tentacle greeting gesture. Hey, Harper, he said softly. It's James. I know you're tired. I know your brain is doing something incredible right now, something humans maybe aren't even supposed to be able to do. But we need you back. I need you back. His voice cracked. You promised we'd explore the Andromeda facilities together, remember? You don't get to break that promise by hiding in your own head. Nothing happened. The Zarathians shifted uncomfortably. James felt Nixal's small hand on his shoulder, a gesture of comfort that crossed species boundaries. Harper, James tried again, louder now. Remember what you always said. Humans don't quit. That's your line. That's your whole damn philosophy. So don't quit now. Come back. We've got work to do. For 10 seconds, nothing changed. Then Harper's index finger twitched. The room erupted in gasps and exclamations. Medical scanners, still running in the background, began chirping frantically. James watched, hardly daring to breathe, as Harper's eyelids fluttered. Once, twice, and opened, her eyes, brown and confused and gloriously alive, focused slowly on James's face. Her lips moved, forming words without sound at first. The medical team rushed forward, but James was already there, laughing and crying simultaneously. Harper's first audible words, hoarse from disuse, were perfectly characteristic. Did I miss something important? James laughed, a sound of pure relief. Just your own funeral. Harper's eyes widened slightly, then a weak smile crossed her face. Typical. Always unfashionably early. Behind them, Nixal stood quietly, clutching the datapad, unnoticed by most. But Velshara approached the small caretaker, bowing low, a sign of profound respect in Zarathian culture. You saw what we could not, the elder said. You understood what we missed. Humanity owes you a debt beyond measure. Nixal's large eyes blinked slowly. Dr. Chun was kind to me. I simply returned the favor. As the medical team worked to safely revive Harper fully, as James refused to leave her side, and as 200 mourners transformed into 200 witnesses of an impossible resurrection, one truth became evident to every being in that crystalline chamber. They had underestimated humanity. Not its technology or its weapons or its politics, but something more fundamental. The human capacity to endure, to adapt, to survive against impossible odds. And perhaps more importantly, the human capacity to see worth in the overlooked, to inspire loyalty in the forgotten, to make connections that transcended species and status. Harper Chun had survived not just because human biology was remarkable, though it was. She had survived because she had made one maintenance worker feel seen. And in the vast, cold universe, that small act of kindness had made all the difference.